far as driving additional revenue. Essentially what we're seeing out in the world today is the model is changing. The way that this all worked 5 years ago is no longer the way that it works now. And we're all looking for additional ways to interact with the merchants, so that way we have multiple touch points. So when we're multi-threaded with these merchants, it makes them stickier and longer term engagements. What would you want to look for in a partner? So that's why we brought on folks that are the best in class in their industry, Touch Bistro with hospitality restaurants and Vend with retail. And then ultimately, what's the business impact? How is this going down to your bottom line? How do these types of partnerships that you would be engaging in drive additional revenue for you? Go ahead and jump to the next one here. So the first thing that I'm going to chat about is really just the opportunity to drive more revenue and kind of the paradigm shift that we are seeing. As I mentioned earlier, it's not, and as Shobit had actually mentioned earlier as well, it's not as simple as it used to be, where you can walk in, take a look at someone's statement and say, hey, I can save you 2 points on this, and it was an easy switch over. Now, with the interconnectivity between the payments terminal, the point of sale hardware, all of these other pieces, if someone is tied in with one resource for 3 of these avenues, it's going to be much more difficult to get this individual merchant to now go ahead and make a switch. So it's these types of partnerships that you have the opportunity to engage in that are going to allow you to be multi-threaded with these merchants. So ultimately, you are more entrenched with them, and it's going to be a longer-term engagement. So this seems like a strange slide with birds, but it's really about the ecosystem. Essentially, what this is showing is that within a single ecosystem, there are multiple different players that can all thrive if you define what your niche is going to be. So in our world, it can be something as simple as the geographic territory where you and your representatives happen to operate. It can be industry specific. I only work with stationary stores. You can get as granular as you want so that you find your specific niche so that you and your team are seeing success in there. And then you become the go-to resource within that niche. And that's when you can really start to see things kind of snowball for you, where you have all these multiple revenue streams that are now tying together because you become the go-to, the subject matter experts within that area. So, this is where we're seeing a lot of these different kind of opportunities to be multi-threaded. Payment processing, clearly something that you guys have been involved with for a long time. But there are these other ancillary items that are tied into that are going to allow you to make more money in the long term. It's a bit of a paradigm shift, because in the past, what folks have looked for is, I want to get this terminal out there, whether I'm charging them for it. There was more upfront money that you were seeing. If you were partnering with someone, maybe you were reselling that hardware, and so you saw a big pop on that. What now is more of a shift where you're seeing more revenue that's coming in down the line. There's going to be more payments that are worked on over time. So while you might see the immediate large pop decrease, what you will see is as you become more multi-threaded in referring deals or becoming a reseller in these multiple avenues, all of those little ancillary payments start to stack up, and you get to a certain point, and that's where you start to see that hockey stick style growth, where you're kind of growing in a linear fashion, then all of a sudden, because these are all occurring, on a monthly basis or annual basis, then you hit that exponential growth, and that's when you really see the benefits to your bottom line. So this is kind of a pie chart of how we envision this new paradigm. Payment residuals is still going to be a big chunk of what you do, but if you look back 5 years ago, this pie chart would probably be 90% that specific section. Now we're seeing multiple different pieces that are tying into this. And again, you might have to sacrifice some of the upfront revenue for the long-term revenue, but the real value that you're going to see here is if you're providing the payment services, you're also providing the point of sale hardware. Maybe you get hooked up with someone else even further down the line and you're providing the internet connectivity. You become the go-to resource for everything. So when one of your competitors shows up on their doorstep and says, hey, can I see your payment statement? I bet I can save you a couple of dollars. they have to think twice before they're willing to rip something out, because it's not just a terminal on a countertop that's getting traded out. They're talking about a full-scale ripping out of all of their business intelligence, all of the things that are giving them insight into, you know, what their system is doing. That's going to be your touch bistro system, your vend system, where they're getting legitimate information about the health of their business. They've got to now weigh ripping all of that out, starting over from scratch, just because they want to save a half a point on something. So it makes these merchants much stickier to you, so your engagement durations end up being significantly longer. So all of this residual income that you're ultimately receiving ends up being significantly more, because your engagement durations get incredibly long as their go-to resource for all of these different things. So essentially, that's kind of how we're seeing this shift happening and the way the model is evolving. So with that said, I'm now going to launch this over to our counterpart over at Vend and Touch Bistro, Mark and Sean. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Sean here from Vend. Mark and I are going to be running through the next set of sections together. So first thing we're going to look at is what to look for in a partner. As a solutions provider, you get to pick what you're going to bring to your customers. And once you've chosen, we're going to jump into some advice on how to pick the best solution. Ryan just spoke about the different products and services that you can choose to offer your customers, and you're the expert in your own niche, so you get to determine which applies to your current and future customers. Regardless of whether you choose to provide hosting, monitoring, point of sale, or accounting, you'll want to find the best hosting, monitoring, point of sale, or accounting option out there. And there's a lot of options to choose from. But there are 3 things that apply across the industry that can help you choose. I'll turn to Mark to speak to these.
Thanks, Sean. So from here, I'm going to be taking you through the 3 most important things that we've, there we go. So I'm going to be taking you through the 3 most important things to look for in a partner and solution when you're looking to add something into your portfolio. And a lot of these are really kind of self-evident and common sense kind of things, but really the devil's in the detail as far as really getting down to a granular level and really executing on something that's going to make a difference. I'll mention at the outset that both Vend and Touch Bistro, obviously we both deal in point of sale. So some of the examples we're going to be using on our side of the presentation are going to be POS related. But as Sean mentioned, it doesn't matter what kind of solution you're looking to add into the portfolio, whether it's an accounting solution, POS, scheduling software, whatever it is, they're universal to anything that you're assessing. The first one, of course, is finding a best-in-class product. You guys want to push, you guys want to sell the Coca-Cola. That's what everybody wants, and ultimately you want something that you can feel confident in putting your stamp on or pushing to your customer base. And secondly is finding a company that has a strong focus on its channel program. We've seen some companies sort of keep them at arm's length while others are actively investing in it. And the third thing is finding a company that's going to provide the right sales and marketing support for you. Generally a good partner should be ready to provide you with literally everything that you guys need to succeed. So across all of these, there's a lot of questions that come up with all the products that you might look at. So it's going to be quite a bit of work to find that solution, but the payoff is definitely worth it. And at the end of the day, again, you're putting your stamp of approval on the product. So of course you want to be sure that it can deliver to your clients, your merchants.
So yeah, on the next slide, the first up is choosing a best-in-class product. Every company says they are the best, and most of them probably have customers that think so too. But what you need to concentrate on is the solution that's best for you and how you do your business. This means that doing your homework, spending the time upfront to make sure the solutions you resell are the right solutions for your customers will save you immensely down the line. You know your customer base and you know your target base. So with them in mind, there are a few things we recommend looking into.
All right, so the first thing when you're trying to find that best-in-class product is obviously the feature set that it provides. it's definitely a key thing to consider. Most companies will have a downloadable feature sheet or a lot of good information on their website and social media channels. YouTube is a very valuable one. But it's extremely important to keep in mind that the kitchen sink product, in other words, that solution that literally has every bell and whistle, is not always the best one and can actually often fall short on actual usability. What good is a POS, for example, that has all the bells and whistles, all the luxury features out there, but that nobody can really use or learn efficiently or effectively? Like, a good example I always say is, well, it's a very successful and great company, Micro Systems, like Micros for restaurants, factually has more features than Touch Bistro. But we can confidently say that business owners and their staff, in our case, waiters, have a much easier time learning and can actually operate our system faster. So it's not always feature set, a lot of it's usability as well.
And then also important is that for any SaaS, so software as a service, you should also try to find out what's on the product roadmap. So unlike license-based software, customers will pay monthly for their SaaS subscription and be entitled to new updates and releases along the way. And this happens with no additional fees. The value to our merchants is not just in the product as it stands today, but what it'll look like in the coming months, quarters, and years. Having a view into the future can help you better identify the best solution for your customers.
All right, so the second thing to look at for that product you're looking for is, once you have an idea of what the product can do, the best thing that you can do from that point is get your hands on it and take it for a test drive yourself. Almost all SaaS solutions, including ours, including Vend, have a free trial that you can get your hands on. I recommend jumping on that free trial, mess around with it, hit all the buttons, and see how it feels. You'd be surprised, after playing with softwares like this, you can kind of get a sense of how well it's put together and kind of the general quality of the product. Just like when you pick up a chair or something, you can kind of feel out whether or not it's stable or whether or not it's some kind of IKEA product. Yeah, so sometimes it's kind of a gut feel. But at least with solutions like ours, download it for free, take it for a test drive.
Another tip is that when taking part in a demo with that solutions team, it's important to come prepared with a list of exactly what you want to see. Otherwise, the rep will stick to the script. So this is definitely going to show the product in its best light, but it may not give you the depth of insight that you need. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions and challenge the presenter.
All right, so the third thing to look at as far as finding that best-in-class product is after you become familiarized with it, it's a good idea to jump on some of their case studies and testimonial stuff. And a good place to start is their websites and their YouTube channels. Companies like ours, Touch Bistro and Vend, we put out a lot of videos that unlike fluffy sounding advertisements, our marketing department produce videos that showcase a measurable result with one of our customers. So did a product actually save them any time or any money? Or did it actually help their business grow? So if you look at the videos on our website, there's some really great case studies on there.
On the next slide, one other thing you can check out is online review sites. So places like Software Advice, GetApp, G2 Crowd can give an unbiased insight into what customers think of the product. While on these sites, don't just look at the star rating, but read through the good, the bad, and the ugly reviews. Everyone says they have an amazing product and great support, but it'll become obvious very quickly who actually does. Reading through the detailed reviews will help you get a true sense of this, and you'll notice a theme of feedback as you do that.
All right, and the last thing to really focus on when trying to find that product is jump on their website and look at the partner section. Look at who the company is integrated with and partnered with. On the one hand, you could see these as extended feature sets to the product. through those third parties. But more importantly, the sheer fact that these types of companies have decided to tie themselves to a particular partner can speak volumes about their confidence they have in them. The big names you see on your screen right now, which are Ben's partners, quite simply, they would probably not create these high-level relationships and integrations with just anybody, and also with a company that they don't see having consistent growth year after year.
The other thing you can check to see is if there's integrated solutions that you are selling or considering selling. For example, at Venn, we have a large number of accounting partners. They started reselling Cloud Accounting Solution Zero and found that their customers were asking about point of sale. As the #1 zero point of sale integration, they found us, joined our partner program, and can now help their customers looking for a new point of sale. Making connections like these are crucial as you build the menu of products and services you'd like to resell. In addition, it makes the solution more sticky, and then tying that back over to the revenue equation, you're stacking more residuals, possibly more upfront bonuses on these products as you sell them in, and all of a sudden your cost to acquire that customer goes down.
All right, so on the next slide, we're gonna start going over the second huge thing to look at when you're trying to decide, you know, what product to bring on into your stack, which is finding a company that has a strong focus on their channel programs. So looking at things like, do they have infrastructure behind these partnership programs, or is it some guy that's answering the phone and you know, he's got half his 1 foot in the channel and 1 foot in some other type of job? This is actually just the slide right before this. And another thing to look at is, you know, are they going to genuinely support your efforts? Are they going to be there to answer a call or help you overcome objections or general challenges that you have out there? They're going to bother returning your phone calls, because obviously when you bring on a partner, you're making an investment, to bring it on, to start pushing it out to your customers, to learn about it. So finding another company to put an equal amount of that they're going to invest in you is pretty key, and we've seen some pretty bad horror stories out there with other companies.
Talking to training, partner training programs can tell you a lot about a company. How well do they want you to know their product before you start going out in the world and speaking to it? Their commitment to partner training is a good proxy for their commitment to product excellence. On top of that, do they have different programs to suit your expertise or the level of engagement you're looking for? In some cases, you may be looking for a reseller relationship where you take on some of the sales, support, and training responsibilities. In others, it might make more sense for your business to work within a referral relationship.
And one thing to just add to what Sean was saying there is, some companies you'll find have, you know, upfront fees for their partnership programs. Part of this is to cover the cost of all this work they're going to put into you. And that's obviously not necessarily a bad thing. But just wanted to point out that it's not, if they're going to charge you $500 to become a partner, it's not always a bad thing, or it's not necessarily a money grab or anything, but usually it's required to recoup the cost of the investment the company's putting into you. And also it's a mechanism to try to weed out, you know, some of those companies that aren't serious about the partnership, not really going to do anything after having been onboarded. As channel managers, both Sean and I see this kind of thing quite a bit. So I just want to make a quick note about that.
On to the next slide. For ongoing engagement, training isn't necessarily a one and done process. SaaS companies are constantly releasing new updates and features. So as I mentioned earlier, it's part of the value add to your customer base is that the product's never out of date. As the product gets updated, your customers have instant access to that product update. But because we're always doing that, you should look to partner with someone who keeps you in the know. So the features are awesome, but part of your value add to your customer base is being able to help consult to them the latest and greatest and be that expert for them. So having a partner that keeps you on top of the new product updates, maybe ahead of time, a little ahead of time, is a very good thing. Things like partner dashboards, newsletters, ongoing enablement materials, make sure that you're well and up to date. On the next slide, for transparency, whether they have full-fledged dashboards or not, before you decide on a partner, make sure you understand how they'll work with the leads and customers you send them and how you'll be compensated. Having a transparent system for tracking and updating referrals, resales, and commission is crucial. You want to make this worth your while, and you don't want to be spending hours going back and forth every month to figure out deal statuses and commission payouts. If you end up selling multiple things, this can really add up.
All right, so on the next slide, I'm going to start by giving that final piece of advice that Sean and I have when you're trying to find a new partner, a new solution to push out, to add to your stack, to add to your portfolio, whatever terminology you use. And that's to find a partner that will not just invest in your knowledge of the product, but actually help you to sell it. Depending on what kind of partnership you have with them, whether it's a full-blown reseller scenario or whether it's more of a strategic referral partner, they should be able to provide you with all the tools that you need to sell it with, be able to help you troubleshoot those objections, the challenges you're running up against in the market, and just jump on a call to help advise on how to reel in that big fish that you've got on the line. Obviously, you're going to you sell more than one product, so definitely working with a company that you can lean on for some of that advice. And then on the next slide, I'm highlighting here an important one, which is access to their sales collateral, which should be pretty much table stakes for any partner you work with. So ask them right at the outset what kind of materials that they're going to give you after you become a partner. Also ask them about any marketing assets, any logos, or anything that you can use to put on your own marketing collateral to build credibility with prospects. So just because you brought on a new product doesn't mean you need to start from scratch with your sales material. So find a partner you can bring on board, and they're just going to give you everything that you need. And on the next slide is demo tools. So very rarely is a brochure, sell sheet, enough to sell a product on its own. So another key thing is to have your own user account to their product, so that you can get it into the hands of your customers and they can actually see it in action. So they can actually take a test drive for themselves. So having those types of tools is pretty key. And just as an example, Touch Bistro allows you to actually download a free version of our product, actually our whole product family, over the App Store on your iPad. And actually, any of you folks can do that right after this session here to take it for a test drive.
On the next slide, we have benefits, not features. So when looking at the sales tools and enablement materials that a potential partner can provide, try to look for companies that focus on benefits and not just features, even in their own customer-facing material. It's amazing to talk about all the awesome things you can do with your software, but for a small or medium-sized business owner, they care about two things: time and money, how to save and make more of both. If your partners can give you the tools to quantify the value or the return on investment of the solution, you'll be able to demonstrate that to your clients and prospects and show value in your services as well. For example, at Venn, our partners love our ROI calculator, which can estimate how much money Venn can increase the business owner's annual revenue based on 5 questions and data from over 20,000 users of Venn. So our partners can give prospects an estimate based on reduced shrinkage, save admin hours, and other factors that equal out to a dollar amount, like a visible dollar amount bottom line that they will save at the end of the year by investing in the tool. On to sales support. So finally, look for a partner that works with you to understand the sales support you need. Take a look at your customer journey and work with the partner to decide what works best for you. If you're selling a couple different services. Maybe you don't want to run a demo for each software, but you want to listen in, keeping on top of the customer's experience. Whatever your preference, consider your preferred rules of engagement and make sure that they are clearly outlined with your partners. And then to the next slide. There we have it, our advice on what to look for in a partner. Many of these things we know our partners love about working with us, and I'm speaking from experience, but mostly the biggest thing is the business impact.
All right, so arguably this is the most important part of the entire presentation, which is why bother doing this, and what kind of financial impact can you create for your business? So this is just on the next slide there. So I'm going to actually be going to 4 key things or ways that you can make any difference to the revenue that you're generating for your business. The first one is adding new revenue stream that didn't exist before. A lot of channel programs like Vend, like Touch Bistros, allows you to earn commissions from the sales and worry a lot less about the heavy lifting within the sales process. That's the great thing about the referral program. Good partners, we believe, will act as extensions of your sales team, supporting you from the point of introduction right through to the close. And the second thing is increasing customer stickiness. And I think this is particularly interesting for merchant service companies. Merchants with integrated systems stay customers for longer periods of time. They become stickier. For your merchants, it's significantly less likely that they're going to get scooped up by competing processing agents because we're not integrated with every processing platform out there, and they just invested $1,500 to $6,000, $8,000 on a POS, and it's all coming as an integrated solution. So that's a really huge one that we hear about. And the third one is growing residuals and TBV. So look for partners that have a positive impact on your processing revenue. At Vend and Touch Bistro, we actually protect it and help secure it for you by keeping it within the scope of our POS sale and presenting it as a fully integrated solution. So for example, if you were to refer a lead over to us and we were to hand that lead over to one of our sales reps is going to know you, they're going to know your processing, and they're going to advocate for it. Really, both our companies are just out to sell POS anyways. So the idea is to sell together. And then fourthly is to decrease acquisition costs for you. So we're going to invest in the enablement training and partner marketing materials for you. And this means your teams will be more productive at closing deals or at upselling customers. And again, this goes back to you not having to do the heavy lifting as far as a sales process on the POS side. Sean, I'll hand it over to you.
Yep. So on the next slide, here's some numbers from some of our real life examples. So a couple success stories from our partners. One of our Vend partners joined our program about 12 months ago, and he already has over 20 customers that are using Vend integrated with Vantiv processing. This means he is earning his residuals from Vend as well as the processing revenue from Vantiv. So Vend doesn't touch that processing revenue at all. It goes right to the partner. This reseller also sells ancillary services such as Deputy and Zero, adding another revenue stream and deepening his relationship with his customers. It also makes that overall solution stickier, so harder to churn or leave. In the past year, he has also received over $2,500 in funding for marketing activities from us to help him generate new business. And now he's balancing his time between prospecting new business and upselling services like accounting and cloud storage into his existing customer base.
So on the Touch Bistro side, a case study that I wanted to reference is similar to Sean's. We brought on a partner under our referral program who had significant success right out of the gates, actually. This is a merchant service company who came to us because they're experiencing this increased pressure for them to provide or promote a POS along with their processing. And they didn't necessarily have the expertise or bandwidth or even desire to take on becoming a POS reseller. So, of course, we set them up as a referral partner. And when they submit a lead, our sales rep, it flows into our companies, our sales reps handle it, and they keep their processing within the scope of that sale, and they go after the sale together. And usually when we bring on a new partner, there's of course, 2-week ramp time sometimes to get all the procedures in place. This partner was able to come out of the gates to bring us or win over 5 mutual customers within the first 3 months. And right now, after 8 months of being a partner, their leads that they're referring are sitting at a 41.6% conversion from the referral to a customer, which is extremely high. We've had a lot of other cases like this since.
So yeah, on to the next slide. Ryan kicked us off by talking about the revenue opportunities available for reselling solutions in SaaS and cloud solutions. Hopefully we've given you some insight into how to choose the best partners. And if point of sale is one of the things you're considering to adding to your offering, we'd love to chat. As alluded in the earlier examples, both Touch Bistro and Ben have specific partner programs designed for payment dealers and agents. If you think your customers would be interested in retail or restaurant point of sale, we will give you the training and talk about our products to your prospects and your customers, the tools to entice them, and the support throughout the sales cycle. As well as introducing new revenue from our programs will also help protect your processing revenue. So yeah, we're here if you would like to talk. And then from there, I guess, contact information also at the bottom there. So you can contact that directly. We'll also send out a recap, I suppose, with our contact information also.
All right, so
yeah,
thank you. Mark, Sean, thank you so much for that detailed overview of the reseller program. And I think, like you guys were emphasizing, the reason for someone to consider this, anyone that's in the payments business, anyone that's in the point of sale software business, of why it's important and what's important for them to look for in prospective partners. So thanks a lot. And with that, folks, the house is open for questions. And like I had said earlier, just to avoid background noise and other confusion, we will still have everybody on mute. You have a chat option, so please click on that, write in your question. I can see questions already coming in, so we will start answering them one by one. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Did you guys want to read them out, and then Sean and I can jump in when needed?
Yes, that's what we're going to do. So let me take this question right away, and Sean or Mark, either of you, and I guess both of you would need to answer. Joe is asking if either of the POSs integrate with TSYS.
So the short answer to that is no, but the longer answer is give us a call anyways, because we have partners that sell TSYS, they are successful, and we have a couple ways of working around that.
And sorry, from our side too, there are solutions in the pipeline. So unfortunately, it's a no at the moment, but for the, everything kind of changes quarter to quarter for us. So if you are selling TSYS, it's definitely a good idea to open a line of communication with us and stay in touch, as it's not always a no forever.
Yeah, and for on the Touch Bistro side, just give us a call. We'd be happy to elaborate.
Thank you. And on a related note, we have a question from Crystal. The question is, are you EMV and NFC ready?
Yeah, so both of us, fully EMV, fully NFC ready. We have solutions for that, Apple Pay, point-to-point, end-to-end encryption. So we're good to go with processing services on that side through our solutions. So they're semi-integrated solutions, but all of it has all the latest technology. And we've kind of made a point, both of the businesses, to make sure that everything we offer in market is kind of up to snuff when it comes to regulation. And we kind of like calling it future-proofing. So it's not just what's happening now, but being ready for what might happen down the road.
All right. There's another question. I think that we're seeing a lot of questions that are payments related. How about your integration with global payments?
So I would say it's similar answer to TSYS. If you sell merchant processing, give us a call. Every processor out there is a little bit different, and we all work with them in kind of a different sort of way, so it's hard to give sort of a generalized answer. But I can say on our side, on Touch Bistro's side, that is, that we have a lot of people that sell First Data, TSYS, Heartland. We have a lot of super ISOs. We've got everybody. Lots of Vantiv especially. Yeah.
Yeah, second that on Vendat.
You should get it off. All right. There's another question. I guess relates mostly to Touch Bistro. What's the solution for pay at the table scenario?
So I assume this is for restaurants. So Mark from Touch Bistro here will answer. Pay at table solutions, we've got both Ingenico devices that are integrated with us. So we've actually got 2 or 3 different pay at table solutions. If you want to know what those devices are specifically or what processors they work with, shoot us an email, give us a call. But we've definitely got them.
Great. I think I'm going to break off a little bit from the payment stream, and Samuel has a good question about converting data or saving data over to QuickBooks. I know you guys were talking about your integrations. So can you address a little bit of that? How can someone convert information over to QuickBooks?
The short answer for that is both Vend and Touch Bistro integrate with QuickBooks.
Great. Thank you. And well, finally, there's a question for us. So I'm going to take that. This is David asking about, once all this is said and done, how about the equipment for both payment devices and POS hardware? So yes, David, the equipment is, you have the option of working with POS Portal, and since we work on both sides, in terms of payment devices and POS hardware, tablets, printers, cash stores. So yes, we would be we are available to get either you or your end customers with any device they need to run Touch Bistro or Vend.
And this is Ryan. To extrapolate just a little bit on that, one thing that we have the ability to do with myself and the team that I work with is if you want to step out of the hardware equation so that you don't even have to mess around with that, we do have the ability to go direct to your merchant, solution them with everything that we need in the exact same fashion that we work directly with Vend sales team and Touch Bistro sales team. So we can ensure they're getting the proper hardware the first time, which just leads to a much smoother onboarding experience for them.
Great. There is a question Samuel is trying to find out if there is a list of approved processors, and I think I can answer that. Yes, there is definitely a list of approved processors. Once you sign up and get in touch with either Vend or Touch Bistro, they have, they will have that list available to you. So, Samuel, thanks for the compliment there. I think you said something about POS Portal, so thanks about that. I'm going to take a few questions from Brenda. I know, thanks Brenda for attending. I know you've been asking questions from the middle of the webinar. Your first question was, what's the way for you to sign up to become either a reseller with Touch Bistro or Vend? So, we obviously displayed the contact information, but what we're going to do after the webinar is we would send out a follow-up email, and the email is going to have a link to a web form where you can submit your information, and that will tell us that you're interested to learn more about signing up as a partner. So we're going to make the connection with either Touch Bistro or Vend. So please look out for that email, and fill out the web form. It's going to be a quick form, and with that, all 3 companies will have your information, and we will be in touch with you very shortly. In relation to that, I know somebody was trying to find out, I think it was Daniela, trying to find out if this webinar would be available for replaying. So yes, we have recorded the webinar. there was a slight glitch. I think we probably lost maybe a minute of the beginning of the webinar, but post that, yes, the webinar is available for you. So it's always, what I would suggest for that is if you have a rep that's been working with you for payment devices on the POS portal site, please reach out to them, and we will make sure we get you a copy of the webinar. Since the webinar is a recording, it's a pretty heavy file, and not the best scenario for us to mass mail that or send it out to a big group. So we would avoid that, but we can make it available to individuals. Next question, David has a question. He's asking, with both being SaaS, he's obviously referring to TouchBistro and Vend, where do we find the revenue share information? I think that's a pretty critical question, guys. So I'll repeat the question. The question is, with both being SaaS, where do we find the revenue share information?
Yeah, that is a really critical question. The best thing we can say is reach out to us to discuss it. We can have a discovery call as soon as you guys are ready. And the reason for that is, it's not always, it's like, the money that companies make off of processing residuals, right? First thing that company is going to ask you is, how many sales do you think are we able to win over together? And they might customize something for you. But yeah, I'd say give us a call for that. We can speak more specifically to it.
Yeah, and on Vend side, we have a landing page on our website that defines our partner tiers and exactly what the base residuals are. And then beyond that, it scales as we scale our business working together.
All right. Brenda has a question about localization, folks. Brenda is trying to find out if either program is available in Spanish.
Ooh, that's a really good question. So I'm getting the thumbs up from Mark for TouchBistro, so that's a yes from them. With Vend, our iOS app actually does have a Spanish language version. The one caveat is that one of the biggest value adds to us is that we are full 24/7, 365 in-house support. And our support is currently English language only. So yes, you can use Vend in Spanish language, but the full-on benefit of our in-house support that's free to access currently is English language only.
Great, thank you. Crystal has a good observation. She mentioned that recently Cayenne was purchased by TSYS, and I believe both TouchBistro and Vend have partnerships with Cayenne. So yes, hopefully the TSYS integration would be coming soon. But Crystal, you not sure how much time you spend in the payment industry. Payment processors do take their time to standardize systems and standardize platforms. So yeah, I think our fingers are crossed, but that was definitely a great acquisition by TSYS and should definitely help everyone that has been using Cayenne or the Genius platform on the gateway for integration. I am looking for more questions, just making sure we haven't left any unanswered questions. While I'm doing that, folks, the presentation is over, so if you don't have any questions, you are more than welcome to get on with your days. Thanks again for joining us. We will still hang in here for a few more minutes to answer any more questions. But for folks that don't have any more questions, please continue with your days. And as I said, be on the lookout for that email that we're going to send, and that will give you a way to sign up as a partner and show both Vend and TouchBistro that you're interested in continuing the conversation. All right.
Sorry, I just wanted to quickly jump in and just express appreciation to everybody who joined, and especially to POS Portal for hosting this. And I speak on both my behalf and Sean.
Yep. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Sean. So Brian, thank you for the compliment. Yes, I think like I had mentioned at the beginning, all of us on the phone, in the room here, we can only be as successful as our partners. So if you guys don't succeed, none of us are going to succeed. So yes, definitely very important for all of us to work together. Not seeing any more questions. Ryan, do you see any questions I missed?
No, I think you've pretty well covered everything that's come through.
Yeah, and just Mark and Sean, we have some folks already showing interest in learning more, so that's a great sign. And again, I'm gonna just hang in here for a few more minutes. Anyone that is still trying to come up with a question, please do that. Otherwise, the official presentation is over, and thanks again for joining us. All right, folks, I'm not seeing any more questions come in, and I can actually see a lot of people logging off. So Mark, Sean, thanks again for your time, and I will be ending the webinar here. All right, folks, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you again.